really honored to be here, and I'm going to take some of Megan's advice right now because I have to tell you, I've known Jimmy for 6 years, and he is hard to follow at a podium. And I'm following a professional comedian, and I am right before a professional reporter. I hope you all also suspend judgment a little bit about this. But I want to actually tie back to something Jimmy said. I am super passionate about the nonprofit sector. Between my time at the WCA, first as a volunteer and on staff, and now again as a volunteer, and for 23 years total, I have been involved in the nonprofit sector as a volunteer, as a board member, as a staff member, and it is life-changing. It's amazing. I really encourage you to do that. I will warn you, something Jimmy didn't warn you, nonprofit years are a little bit like dog years. So that's really been 161 years I have been doing this. And in the time I've been doing this, I have seen how the kindness of strangers impact people and impact the community. I have seen acts of charity that have moved me. I have seen acts of philanthropy that have inspired me and made me cry. And I use those two words differently, charity and philanthropy. A lot of people use them interchangeably, but they're actually very different. So, you communications people in here, the root of charity comes actually from Christianity. And it's Old English and French, and it means benevolence for the poor. Philanthropy comes from Latin and Greek, and it means love of humankind. Very similar, very impactful, very powerful, but two different things. Charity is a transaction, philanthropy is a relationship. Charity is a quick fix. Think Hurricane Dorian, think hurricane relief. They need supplies, they need water, they need building supplies, medical help immediately. Philanthropy is looking to solve a problem, solve an environmental problem, a human services problem, a healthcare problem, something bigger than that. Philanthropy empowers and philanthropy inspires. So as a professional fundraiser, my role is to not necessarily change hearts and minds, but inspire hearts and minds, to find that connection between somebody's passion and a mission and a cause, and make that connection. And philanthropy is not an either or, it's an and also. If you have passion for a cause, for something, you've got room in your heart, you've got room in your bank account to care about multiple things. And it's really powerful, it's empowering. The impact it has on clients and people who need the services is not just the item, it's what it makes possible. So it's not a food pantry and food on the table, but what does that food make possible for a family? A family can have dinner together. They can talk about their day. We know, there's data, kids with full stomachs do better in school because they're not worrying about their rumbly tummy. Parents who are well-fed and well-nourished do better at work. They're more alert at work. They're more mindful with their children. They're better parents. So let me share a story. At the WCA, for years, I have this backpack program, back to school backpack program. So clients can submit applications for their kiddos to get a backpack full of all the boring stuff, the pencils, the pens, the notebooks, the calculators, the protractors, all of that stuff. But also, they get an outfit, new shoes, new clothes, a warm jacket. So one of the moms who was living in the shelter with her daughter, after she picked up the backpack and was back in her room at the shelter, went through it, and she wrote us the most touching email. She was so excited about pens and notebooks and calculators because she didn't have to spend money on that. And this donor was thoughtful enough, instead of buying clothes for a young girl she'd never met before, she gave a gift card. So this girl could go buy her own clothes. Remember what that feels like, to buy your own clothes for school? Instead of having crazy Aunt Martha buy you that thing that you didn't really like. So she got to do that herself, and that's really empowering. But what was so meaningful to this mom is because she didn't have to spend money on those items, she could pay the school fees for her daughter's extracurricular activities. She could pay for her daughter's school yearbook. After years of being abused, after years of being told that she was worthless and she was not capable and she was not a good mother by the person who abused her, she could give that gift to her daughter. Her daughter gets to have a full and complete school year because of that. And again, think about the daughter. So she's got these new clothes that she picked out. She's walking into school that first day, her head's a little higher. She gets to participate in the extracurricular activities with her friends while she's still living at the shelter. She gets to have that normalcy because somebody who didn't know her chose to give her that gift and empower her in that way. So now imagine you're the donor. You're the person who did that and helped make that possible. and you get the thank you note from that mom. How does that make you feel? Right? That's pretty powerful, isn't it? You get that thank you note, and you're like, wow, I thought I just bought a backpack full of stuff, and here's what I did. I gave mom some confidence. I gave daughter some confidence. I gave them a turning point in their life, and it's a turning point for the donor too. That's what philanthropy looks like. And that turning point, you get a thank you note like that, are you keeping that a secret? You're going to tell people, right? You're going to tell people how powerful that program was and what that meant to not just to you, but to that family. So there's going to be ripple effects through the community. So as it ripples through the community, attitudes change. Things change. I want to share another story. As I mentioned, philanthropy is about solving a problem. So there's a wonderful donor in the community who has the financial means to be charitable to a lot of organizations. He gives money to a lot of different nonprofits and organizations, and that is fantastic, and he has a huge impact. His passion is for the WCA's mission. So he spends his philanthropy efforts and attitude at the WCA. He grew up in an abusive home. He grew up watching his father abuse his mother. He grew up watching his father abuse his siblings and himself, and he wanted to change that. He knows what that feels like, and he wants to change that. He is the only one in his family to have broken that cycle of abuse within his family. So that's his passion. That's the problem he wants to solve, is stopping that cycle of abuse. So how he knows best to do that is by helping survivors and families who are graduating, as he calls them, from the WCA with housing and transportation issues, because those are real challenges here in the Valley. Go back to Jimmy's speech when Jimmy talked about that, right? Those are real challenges here. So what he has done is purchased a couple of duplexes and fourplexes. 6 months ago, he worked with the WCA and Catch to house 2 families in this duplex. 2 moms, each have 2 kids. They happened to live in the shelter at the same time, so the kids knew each other, so that was a great bonus that these kids had this built-in network. Now, he didn't do this in South Nampa, where it's really affordable. He did it in Boise, where the services are. So these moms can walk their kids to childcare. They can walk their kids to elementary school. They can walk to work. They are a short bus ride to the WCA should they want to continue to work with their case manager or their clinicians. That's huge. That just took away so many barriers for success for this family. So think about what that means, again, for the community. 2 women who were never allowed to work before because of the abuse they were in have jobs. They're paying taxes. And 6 months in, while they still financially qualify for the vouchers, for the housing vouchers, they're paying their own rent because they can. And they want to model that behavior to their kids. They want to create that environment and show their kids what resilience looks like. So think about those kids. So now we've got all these kids who are growing up in this healthy, stable home. They're learning about healthy relationships. As they grow up, they have healthy relationships. They've broken that cycle within their family. And as they grow up and have partners and spouses and perhaps have children of their own, they're going to raise those children in healthy environments and healthy relationships. They're far more less likely to be abusive because of this environment that they have now. That's 3 generations and all the people they touched that have been impacted and changed because of one man's philanthropy. That's the power. And that affects the community. So my challenge to you all is to find that passion. Open your hearts and minds to find what that passion is. What do you care about? Do you care about the environment? Do you care about those bike lanes on the canals? Do you care about suspending judgment? Find that and connect that to some cause, some mission that you care about. And you will have time in your lives to do that. It magically appears when you care so passionately about something like that. So you do that, you find that cause, you find that passion, you will change someone's life. You'll change your own, but you also change someone else's. And by changing someone else's life, you're going to change the community. Thank you.